Haven't seen you in a while, Lenny. How's things been with you?
Hey, I don't know if I can talk today. Hear my voice. Um, yeah, if it's okay. Today I think I'll just listen.
Yeah, sure.
Thank you so much.
Well, there's not much to listen to at the moment. All these guys are just are happy where they are, it seems. But somebody will
Yeah.
come along, maybe. Yeah. Silence
Um,
is good.
yeah. I think from my side, I mean, it's not really happiness, but it also not particular suffering right now. It's more just like existing and just being. I don't know. There's no searching. Yeah.
Doesn't
Anything?
sound like there's much joy though either.
No. There's no joy. No.
Hmm.
But yeah.
Would you go as far as to say it's a dark night of the soul kind of experience?
Let's say there's thoughts to try to grip on to that to make that more bearable, and then on the other hand, I don't know, then there's this part that's just is what whatever sensation there is right now, and if it's not joyful, then that's not what it is, I guess. It's like there's, I mean, no other choice anyway, right? And then if there's sadness coming through, then there's sadness coming through, and then it's, and then you question whether this is even sadness or just the
Mm-hmm.
label for it. Oh yeah. And it's interesting. I'm right now in the most triggersome place I could be at my parents' home,
All right. Yeah.
helping out my sister at her practice. So there's triggers every day, but it's a hell lot of possibilities to observe and just
Mm.
see if one can stay with this in the moment and feel what that comes up.
Yeah.
And that's all there is right now, I guess. And then there's being sick, and it's just sitting with this now, I guess. I mean, there is the hope that this changes at some point, but if not, there's also nothing I can do, right? Or anyone who
Mm.
can do anything about it.
Yeah. Mm. Have you had thoughts as to why you kind of stalled in this place? If that's an
So,
accurate way to put it, I don't know if it is, but yeah.
sorry, I didn't hear it.
I say, if it's accurate, don't accept it if it's not accurate. But if it's accurate, I'm saying, did you have thoughts about why you stalled in this place? Why did you stop the last mile, so to speak, where all the joy is? Did you have thoughts
I,
about that? I don't want an answer. I don't know that, I just wondered if you wondered.
um, obviously, I've wondered. I mean, um, I mean, then there is those thoughts that say like, yeah, well, this is maybe just a phase of it, when still not everything of this personality of this so-called Leni has died, and there's still tiny little
Yeah, something
fragments
happening. Yeah.
that are gripping on and are sad about dying. I mean, or being exposed to have never been existent. So yeah, I think there is sometimes a sadness of, yeah, of this life. Yeah, letting that go.
Mm.
And there, I guess, what is also felt is a sense of longing, or I guess a non-separated feeling
Hmm.
that is also not there yet. In fact, sometimes I feel more like a ghost, and in a very gray world.
Mm. Yeah. 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 It's not something I ever experienced, but I've heard it a few times. Yeah. Is there is so I heard you say there's an idea, at least, if it's not called a hope, that this is temporary and that you'll emerge into something much more pleasant. Is there a
Yeah, it's like
feeling that is there a feeling that that's possible or even close, or is there a feeling about that? A feeling, not thoughts. Is there a sense of, or is there a sense of feeling like
there's
you might
more
be
feeling.
stuck here forever?
There's more of a feeling of like, don't bother thinking about that,
Mm-hmm.
because
Because
that's where the pain comes from. When I think of
right.
when is it gonna end, this is literally where it starts being painful. And if I'm
Mm.
not in that thought, then it's just, let's say, bland and gray and nothing,
Yeah, but
it's
not
not,
painful. Yeah. Mm.
but not painful.
Mm.
So I stay in that now, in this gray,
Mm.
and I don't know, if thoughts come up, then I try to, yeah, go into sensations. But it's not like, sometimes there is thoughts that, and I mean, they're observed, but there are thoughts that say like, yeah, so you swapped a life of meaning, of whatever relationships and success and blah blah blah, for this, I don't know, a tingling sensation in your hand. That is a painful one.
Mm.
Then again, it's also cool to, yeah, you can see that. You can see that this is nothing real.
Mm. So when
And
when you
then,
say you swap that world for this world,
yeah,
it's kind of easy to see that there was something you were experiencing in that world that made this world seem attractive to you at the time.
yeah.
Uh,
So what was that,
do
you
you?
mean?
No, no, I don't know. Just something is enough. I don't need to know what it was.
Yeah, okay.
But what I'm alluding to is, or moving towards is, do, do you recognise that they were all just circumstances that turned up and that there was no choice involved? Right? You didn't
Yeah,
make a bad choice.
I know that.
Yeah, yeah, great, great.
That has been seen. That has been seen.
Mm,
Um, Still, you know, I don't know how it was for you, because I can see those things But these thoughts come up again and again and again, and they grasp for attention again and again and again. And um, some days less and sometimes more. And also sometimes I also notice that sometimes attention is more easily attracted by those thoughts and sometimes not that much. And in a sense, even if they catch me for a while, I can, there's like an understanding after a while again, like, you've just been swallowed by that. Um, but yeah, but then it's already like a pain that it was inflicted. Like
mm,
now when I was crying, it is
mm,
not that I believe it, but these things come, they're looked at, they, you feel like um they cause sensations or blah 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 whatever. So like the entire mechanism is happening again and again and again, even if it's seen.
mm.
I don't know. Maybe I overlook something. Maybe.
If only, if only you knew. If only you could do something. Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
there's nothing to do, right? There's
Exactly.
actually literally
Yeah.
nothing
Oh
to
boy,
do.
you've got it. You know it all. You know all of it. Yeah. Why this fucking shithole place? Jesus, I don't know. Yeah. You've done the
Yeah,
work. You've done all the work. Why are you there? Yeah.
I mean, I do wake up sometimes with such a contracted chest that it actually hurts in my body,
Mm,
and it also, it's kind of like, it's wait, wait,
no worries.
okay. So it grips me so hard that it almost all the time, even if I'm not even sad, like there's always like tears coming out on those days. And then also you can see the mind machinery that is presenting you one explanation after the other. And you see the moment the explanation comes, this pain even gets more. And then you can say like, I don't even have to believe in this because like I even see that this is interchangeable. But these contractions, they also sometimes don't leave me for days.
Mm,
Yeah. And yeah, and I think there is some hope at some point that something shifts, even that, I don't know. I mean, I know Marius is against all this fetter stuff. There's a tendency here that, I mean, I am fascinated by it, especially like when it comes to the higher ones. So there is somehow like this little waiting for, I don't know, a collapse
yep.
of
Yeah, I
visual
get
of
that. Yeah.
vision,
Mm,
and that this, because like there still feels like something is looking out of these eyes, and
yep.
it feels still like something is in this body.
Mm,
And I don't know where to look even. I do a lot of inquiry, actually pretty much all I'm doing. Um, and not even because I want it so much. It's more like there's actually nothing left to do.
yeah. That's what I mean. You've done all the work. Yeah. But something is still here. There's still something happening. Right? It's obvious that there's still something.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I'm not. It's. I think it's not me that can. It's up to now. Like I think I just wait, right? I mean, or because nothing has ever been done by me anyway. So,
Mm,
and I feel like the
yeah.
more I want something or want it away, the more I create somebody again. So Yeah, pretty much. Right now I'm sick,
Yeah.
so I'm lying down all day long and just stare at the ceiling and do some feather, I don't know, like exercises.
Mm.
It's not fun. It's not fun, but it's
Yeah.
the only thing.
I just, my understanding, Marius is not against the fetters, but he's very wary of the trap that they present.
I know.
Yeah. So it's like that.
But
No, I say if you've got a big interest in the fetters, go for it. Mm,
um,
I know very little about them. I've had some experience in done some of the exercises and so on. Um, so, are you following somebody in the fetter work?
yeah, Pernil the more.
Yep. Okay. Yeah.
And also Angelo Di Lulu is sometimes also doing good content on it.
Hmm. Yep. Well,
But
I
I mean,
approve. I
honestly, I've
approve.
listened enough. There's not a single video I haven't seen yet. Like there's literally just being now.
Mm,
There's no more knowledge that needs to be heard or anything. I feel like it's now it's just being like comfortable in not, having any plans anymore, not having any purpose anymore, not doing anything anymore, just being okay if nothing happens. And I think this is, yeah, I think there's a lot of burn still to be seeded through, I guess.
mm,
So that the last bastions of a me
yep.
die.
So if you put it that way, that there's burn left to happen. Another way that you could describe that is to say there's still some there's still some resistance.
Yeah, honestly, this is all I'm looking for.
Mm.
And
But resistance to what? That's always a hard answer.
yeah,
Do we need to know what it is that we're resisting, or maybe we just can work through the resistance without ever knowing what we're resisting?
yeah, honestly, every time I try to understand things, I see how the mind kicks in and tries to come up with, this is this and blah blah blah. So I stopped all that. I fucking
Yeah.
stopped all that. I just feel what comes, and I feel like the biggest resistance is if I'm really just laying there on a gray day like this and not doing anything, because I feel like if I can do that without being like super miserable, then I can also sit on the table with my patriarch dad saying one shitty thing after the other
Mhm.
and being okay with that, not having a partner while other people are living their lives and be okay with that. And it's like there's all these things that I have to just
Yeah.
sit through, but I don't want to inquire, what is underneath that, because that gives my brain just so much
Yeah.
grasping
Yeah.
possibilities
Yeah.
again.
Mm. I have some thoughts. I mean, and I don't know if they might be of interest to you, Lenny, and also they're also kind
Mhm.
of maybe a bit general. Um, and I think actually last time I was in the group, I think I remember maybe we interacted a little bit. It's been quite a while, but maybe
Yeah,
not. Um, yeah, but what comes up for me as I'm listening is, like kind of what I feel, the felt sense I get is like a felt sense of a denial of the human, a kind of denial of the human and the humanity, that if I were to say what I imagine is going on with it is, I mean, I don't, I get a sense there is like there is a very deep wish to let go of clinging and of any kind of attaching and confusions. which drives like a very, very powerful process of kind of, in a sense, dismissing, maybe also in part in order to not because some things have been hard, basically, in the conventional way of life. And there's like a sense of enough with that, enough with the way that the conventional way of life is hard. The sense I get, my heart sense is like a sense that there's a denial of the human going on. And the sense I get is that such denial cannot but be depressing. It's kind of like if you took a little girl or a child and you just had no interest in what they're saying, and you had no interest in what they're feeling, have no interest in what they like to play or eat or don't like to play or eat, and so forth. And then how would they become? They would get sick. They would get more and more dejected and depressed, and so forth. So like I get a feeling that there is some kind of, Buddhist phrase, the middle path. There is a middle path here to attune to, which is a place that oh, it's like a place that at the same time can be interested in loving in everything in the human, including the wish for relationship and all the frustration and fears and whatever else there might be in it, and any other kind of human wishes. And there is kind of balance of learning to not hold in a rigid way in things that causes suffering, and at the same time um, still being interested in everything human and everything the human inside. And the way it feels to me, the way I experience things, the way it feels to me is that this is a very important part of of like living in a whole way within all of this. And yeah, so mm, and then I have a sense that, we can have experiences of, say, no control or non-doership and so forth. And sometimes these perspectives or these experiences can be, they can be very, very liberating. And when they're liberating, it it feels liberating. There is the felt sense of how it releases suffering, and the way it feels when it's connected to that way is that there becomes more, in a sense, there's also more availability to everything that's wholesome in the conventional sense, because it reduces confused suffering, right? But the same thoughts of non-doership, nothing to do, and so forth, my sense is that they can be taken, they can be taken to an extreme where like one really tries to stay in it or just believes that that's the place to be. um yeah, and just that it becomes a denial of, again, of just listening to the human, and the paradox that we kind of live both at the same time. We live both. That's at least my feeling, and it's my feeling with anybody I know really close up, is that we kind of simultaneously live with possibility to access, um, like access just the release, the potential for release all the time, and that's what's working through the pointers. And at the same time, um, we like at the same time we attend to the human. We attend to the human in us, in others, and yeah. So um, just to finish this up, that my heart response to you is kind of, oh, it's like yeah, I just get the felt sense of just wanting to attend to the human in you in every way, and 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 that feels called for when I listen from where I'm coming from. Mm.
Um, thank you. I don't really know what to do with this though.
Mhm.
Honestly, I don't even know if I really understood. Sorry,
Mm.
but I don't
Yeah,
know.
I was hearing the same thing. I was wondering, what's Lenny going to take from what you say?
Mhm.
And
Mhm.
I kind of hear what you say about allowing what you call the human stuff through. But I don't, how what are your thoughts about that, Lenny? Do you feel like
Well,
you're
I think this
blocking
is
off
exactly what.
human things?
No, I think this is exactly what I'm doing all the time. Like if this little girl inside of me cries, then I let it cry and be with it.
Mm,
And I'm not saying like you shall not cry or you should be happy because I'm not. I'm just not
mm,
happy.
mm,
So
mm. Yeah,
this is what it is. This gets the
yeah.
space now. And
So, so if you
yeah,
feel, if your internal felt sense is that you feel loving with the little girl, then all is good. And I might just be not feeling you right. I get a sense. It's just I'm sharing my resonance, and then
yeah, thank
and
you so much.
Vince.
It's just like yeah.
Mhm.
So that's why I'm trying to find out what I can really take from it because like I know it's very valuable if you share. So
So I'm happy to stay in contact with you a little more, and let's look at that. If like, so if you could maybe say something about what, just how, what kind of, mm, well, while you were listening to me, when you felt most something, what did you feel?
okay, to be really honest,
Hmm.
um yet another expectation of how this spiritual thing should be turned into something blissful again. Like
Hmm.
because in this everybody in this awakening thing is, you
Hmm.
know, trying to get to this happy place, and I feel like I reached a point where I noticed like this is not where
Mm.
this is goes. Like so, it feels like yet another thing that is wanted from me. It
Oh,
feels more
wow.
like yeah, maybe. Yeah. So I
Mm.
should be now happy too. That's what you also want from me. Maybe I think that's like
Mm.
yeah.
I see.
It is yeah.
So is there a felt a feeling together with that when you experience me that way, as in a sense, wanting you to not be you, wanting you to again have to be something else?
Uh,
Is there a
what the
feeling?
question?
Is there like
Yeah, maybe.
what's the
Yeah, maybe.
feeling that goes together with that in terms of, yeah?
Yeah. So maybe. I don't know the word in English though. In German, it's Trotz, which means like this childlike anger. This like, no, I don't
Mhm.
want this. I
Mhm.
don't know what this
Mhm.
is.
I think
In English.
that's good that you're in touch with that.
Mm.
Is my felt sense. Um, and then I feel like saying, we all have. Again, part of how I live in the world or experience. I think we all have blind spots. We all have unconscious. So I wouldn't have the arrogance of saying that I can be sure that of where I'm coming from. I can only say how it feels. Right. So when I hear you say that the experience you have is somebody who wants, in a way, wanting you to be something else. mm, First of all, I'm kind of glad for you that you get what you call it trotz, that you get this kind of anger like thing with that, because if that's what's going on, right? Somebody else now wanting you to have to be something else. I think it would be very healthy to not take it on board. Like the sense of, I don't want another person coming here and telling me, putting more pressure, putting another pressure, or telling me what I have to do to be in another way, or giving me false, possibilities or fantasies or anything like that. I think it would be very healthy to have it like, so in the end, I would really support that, listening to your own felt sense. And if that's how I feel to you right now, and it's really okay, whichever
No,
way
not
it is.
on you, not you in general. No, man. Oh my God, not you in general. Just
Okay,
when
so
when you listen.
I think the felt sense is important though. Again, that's how I'm living life. I think when we
Yeah.
listen to somebody, the way that it feels in us is important to discover where can we learn something, right? So with some people there is like a felt sense that now somebody is imposing on me. And I think it's a really good idea to listen to that. And it's not, it doesn't even, let's not make it about them. It's just if that's the felt sense they're imposing on me, ugh, right? But if rather the felt sense is, if let's say I'm just saying your inner girl, and it's like, it's kind of a metaphor, but it's a good metaphor, right? If your inner girl rather had the feeling when I spoke that somebody is speaking to her, like somebody is looking at her, somebody is interested in her, somebody is caring about her. If that's the internal felt sense you have, then my words might be of value. I believe, right? And the biggest value they have is not what we do with them next. There might be a something we could, talk about that, but it's not the core of the matter. The core of the matter is that the moment that, like, if I'm right in my feeling or intuition, and there's something on the way you move now, not on purpose. I'm not saying you're doing it on right or with a negative intent. What do I know? But I'm not assuming it, right? But if something in the way you move now, there is some kind of denial of the inner girl on a heart level. Like the thought is, I let her cry, I let her be how she wants, but on a heart level, somehow she's being denied. That's something we can only feel into in the end. It can't be rationalized if it's one way or the other. But if it feels, if there is a felt sense that somebody is listening, somebody is looking, the girl inside is opening, then that's worth just being curious. Okay, so my inner girl, she's yearning for something, and maybe I can learn, maybe I can just be curious about how do I give that my girl this something. Yeah. So how does that make
Yes,
you?
but okay. Okay. I'm just being unfiltered, and this is not against you, but there is,
Mm-hmm.
let's say, in a sense, restlessness and maybe not anger, but like this annoyance coming up because this
Mm-hmm.
work I've done like for 3 years,
Mm-hmm.
psychotherapy, inner child
Mm-hmm.
healing stuff, so much.
Mm-hmm.
And I would say like on this level of story, I am
Mm-hmm.
now my best friend and I love me. I love this kid so much.
Mm-hmm.
And, you know, I go ecstatic dancing where the dance floor
Mm-hmm.
is full of my joy all the time. But
Mm-hmm.
honestly, this shit got me to some place. It was nice. But now I have this longing of really knowing what all of this actually is all about. And there I feel that this human is not really what I am. And I have now a very strong longing of in love letting that one also go somehow. And I feel like if I do this, this is in some way painful. And it cannot be any different. Because if person that this persona that was formed is loved, of course it hurts when it dies, but or when it ceases to exist in that sense because it never really existed. So I feel that going through this phase would be something that has to be gone through, and I don't want to bypass it. And again, like I made this peace with this little girl on so many occasions,
Mm-hmm.
and and she has a mother in me.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, it feels more. This is the next step.
Do you want another response from me, or is it enough? Like I can.
No, sure. If it's just okay that I'm also like being so honest, like again, like
So
these
good,
emotions, they're
so
not
good,
going against you.
so good, so good.
Good,
And even if you
good.
feel anger, you know, or whatever, and it's for me, I think it's healthy. It's all good. It's all good.
Okay.
So again, my intuition is that it's not divided in that way. It's not like you finished with the human and now you're a good mother, finished, and now you can ignore your child or it can die because you already are a good mother. And now you continue to the, you know, the other level. The way I relate with it or feel it, experience it is that there is a process which we don't control, where moment to moment needs come, or whatever needs to be attended to comes by itself. And my guess, I could be wrong, okay? I don't assume to know for sure what's going on with you. I'm truly open to the option that I just don't know where you're at, right? But I'm sharing how it feels here. My guess is that your process calls for something that's more fluid and flexible between, we could call it a two-dimension now. They're not really opposed or separate, I believe, ultimately, but it can feel and look that way. And your process calls for something that's more kind of more fluidly continues to be interested on the, let's say, human and psychological level, and also continue to attend to your real passion and desire for the most deep, profound, primal sense of whichever way you'll formulate it. What is this, or whatever, whichever way is your, you know, or there might not even be words, but that's something for which there are no words. Okay. And then I'm speaking also from the way life feels to me. It feels like there's no, I cannot decide when life calls for me attending to something psychological in myself, something practical in my life, doing some healthy initiation, working, and that I think will continue for the rest of life. We don't get finished with growing and healing and all that. So, but I'm not in control of when life wants that and when life wants deep inquiry or deep, say, kind of non-meditation. I'm just, you know, using names that I think you relate with, right? So that's just the felt sense I get, is that, and yeah. Do you want to say how that meets you?
Well, I mean, it's not that I'm not doing that. Like, I mean, it was just now the reason why I wasn't there was because like I was traveling around through India, doing all sorts of cool experiences, meeting new people, doing cool stuff. But in a sense, um, new experiences, new cool stuff just feels so empty. And even and that has been maybe, let's say, a problem for all my life long, is even I have a lot of beautiful friendships. I'm a very outgoing, very open person. I mean, now you see me at a very shitty moment, or like a shitty, I don't know, point, but
Be very honest
there's
about
this,
sharing.
there is this, there's this other side of me where people feel like, oh, she's so radiant. And also lately, because there is this other side, but it feels like that hollows out more and more even. And I cannot fill this void with more people, more dancing, more cool experiences.
Yeah, I hear that. So maybe
I've done all, like, honestly, I lived life through, like, I had a beautiful relationship, I was successful, again, traveling around the world all the time, going to nature, blah blah blah, you name it, but it feels empty. and 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 even with the nicest people around, I feel lonely. And maybe these are thoughts, and this is why, I don't know, why it feels the one ground where I can exist now is in sensations and just being on guard of when another of those painful thoughts swarms by, I guess.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So maybe just one more, two things. When and again, I could be I just don't get where you're at, right? But from
Mhm.
where I'm feeling, when you describe the painful place, it sounds more
Yeah.
connected to me. It sounds more wholesome and connected to me when you describe the gray place. And I could totally be wrong, but that's just the resonance here is that the place where you feel the pain, you're closer to whatever needs to be experienced than when you're in that place where it's kind of gray and just staring at the wall or something like that. Would be my intuition, my felt sense. And my felt sense is that there is a discovery here to be done about love. And this discovery cannot be reduced to what you have done or not done in life. I can
Mhm.
understand how maybe the mind can think, since I've done so much and I experienced so much, it's all empty. But that doesn't say what exact expression love needs to learn to have in you and through you now. And whatever that expression is, it's not in opposition to your deepest yearning for clarity and truth. But the one thing I tend to trust is I trust the felt sense. So I trust that if the internal experience in whatever, like again, maybe I'll just end with those words. Like if the way you're moving, if it genuinely feels from the inside like love, good, all good. But if something feels like there is like an abandoning or a giving up on love, or a disconnect from love, and I mean that in the most primal sense, I'm not saying in what form, then that's something to be curious about. Like what?
Well, I mean, there you're totally right. And
Yeah.
I mean, I think lack of love is a big thing. And I mean, the way I handle this now is that I try to be a very loving person to every single person I meet, literally to everyone, even on the street. And that gives me some nice things back. But there's not always somebody around. And
Mhm.
again, like on days like this, when my heart, when my entire pain, my body aches, and I'm in a
Mhm.
situation that I'm out of love because for the love of my sister to help her with being in a very difficult situation. I don't know. I cannot pretend that I love that situation, that I love.
That's good. Why
I don't know.
should that would be unloving?
Yeah,
Pretending that would be unloving. Can
exactly.
you experience an element of love in what's going on now, which doesn't need to exclude anger or sadness or anything else? But can you connect to a quality of love in real time right now, including in what we're doing here right now?
Well, I mean, yeah, there is a gratefulness, I would say, for Vince and Marius's and like yeah, this possibility and my teachers. There's a loss of family members, but it's like on a very low level. It's not like that I'm walking around with bliss. Oh my God, there's so much love for everything I have,
I didn't
which I would
mean it
love
in
to
such
have.
a general, I didn't mean it in an abstract general
Mhm.
sense. I meant really right now, as we're interacting right now. Is there,
No, no,
hmm?
no, no. There is no love now.
Hmm, interesting. So the felt sense I get, and maybe after this one, I'll be quiet and for at least for a while and let others speak and so forth. But the felt sense I get is that there is some kind of denial of love going on. And I'd be curious about why and how. Because again, just my feeling as I'm interacting with you is I'm feeling a love quality going on here. And again, I could be completely wrong, but my felt sense is we would not be having this interaction and it wouldn't continue if there wasn't some kind of open channel for some kind of love moving through here, and that love is somehow not being seen or something like that. That's 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 how it feels from here, and with openness and curiosity about, yeah, how else it might be seen. Okay.
So you walk around with love all the time, or I'm really just curious. That's not sarcastic. Like, I'm really asking because, like, maybe, yeah, I feel sometimes a little bit cut off of love. So I wonder,
Mm,
you feel in a normal talk with a person you don't know
mm,
love.
mm. No, well, that's a good question. It certainly varies how in touch with it I feel. And certainly also if I get, whatever, triggered, or when I'm in some of my difficult places, it can in a sense feel less clear, certainly. And at the same time, I have a sense that it also in some sense is accessible and something I can return to ongoingly. But right now specifically, and that I could imagine that might create some of the mixed feelings, and also can create how much is it felt, the love. Because I have a feeling you and I right now, in one sense, we're having, from my perspective, we're kind of having a profound exchange that in one sense has a fair amount of, we could call it a kind of intimacy in it. Not necessarily that we're sharing the most, deeply personal details, but there is I sense a quality of intimacy, and at the same time, as you said, stranger, there's also that the aspect of stranger, but it might go deeper than even just stranger. It's like hmm. So I say it in a different way. My sense is that as long as we're human, it's an ongoing work and discovery to be able to be really loving and open with ourselves and others on a deep level, not in kind of just, be nice, or but that I my feeling is it's fundamental to be human, this aspect of love that also expresses through relation, through connection. And hmm, and we all have work to do for the rest of life, how to be in touch with that. We all have defenses, blind spots, anxieties, certainly including me, most certainly. Defenses, blind spots, anxieties, um, from opening up to that, and wherever opening up to that will take us. Yeah.
Yeah,
Mm.
thanks.
Yeah, thank you.
Vince, can I ask you what your take on all this is?
Oh, yeah. My silence is probably the answer. Um, but yeah, so much is happening here as I'm listening, and imagining how things are for you. I recognise that I want you to feel better. I don't really care how you feel, but I want to think that you're feeling better. I want to believe that you're feeling better. So that kind of gets all sorts of things going. That me wanting you to be happy, very narcissistic of me, if you like. You can call it that. You can say that I feel compassion for you. That seems true. That feels good. I feel love. I don't have any answers. Yeah, I kind of I get that really strong thing that I just want to find a key that put in the lock and twist it and have things change for you in a better way. But I don't know of one. Yeah. I have the fantasy that I just want to know more about your experiencing. I want to know more of what you are, and maybe I can find that key. But it's like that's a you know a fourth fetid desire thing going on for me. I really want. I want.
Mm. I mean, I can talk about the thoughts, but again, I don't know if we're then just going back into storyland.
Well, let me say, there's nothing wrong with Storyland. Storyland can be good value. It's when we mistake stories for what is actual, when we think that what the story is about is the actual thing instead of just being about it. So no, there's nothing wrong with stories. In fact, you can't escape stories, I reckon. My story about the way things work is that there's stories going on all the time. And it's not that we can stop them. It's just we pay attention to some and not others, that's all. Again, that's not something we can do. It's something we that will happen. We can condition ourselves or recondition ourselves to recognize shitty stories that cause suffering and dismiss them.
Yeah. But see, that's why I'm so hesitant to even go into them, because some of them get then like so much reality again, which they literally don't have.
Yeah. Yeah, and well, I was also buzzing a lot on what you were talking about, that emptiness, and it's it's again, it's a play with words and things to look at, but that is emptiness. You kind of equated emptiness to meaninglessness, or
Mm.
when we say meaning, things don't have meaning. If things don't have a meaning, is it inevitable that they are meaningless? And I mean, it's not a trick question, and I'm not asking you for an answer. It's a rhetorical question in a way, and that is that the way I see it, if things, the opposite of things having meaning, isn't that things have no meaning. It's that meaning is ridiculous. The whole idea of meaning is irrelevant. Right? So if you say that things have no meaning and therefore they are meaningless, that's a meaning. Meaningless is a meaning. And if there's no
Yeah,
meaning,
I
it
get
means
that.
they can't be meaningless either.
I get that. I totally get that.
Yeah. But then
The thing
there is
is,
the emptiness that somehow involves itself in this.
let's say, I say it as cheeky as that, but like, I love your stories, that you're writing. And very often you have like this cup of tea that is steaming. And
Yeah,
I've
that
never
features
gotten
a
any
lot,
joy
doesn't
of
it?
and I've never gotten that joy out of it, as it's always assumed in those stories that there would be. For me, there's not much happening then.
Mm.
there is no deep content or something coming from these little things, maybe.
Yeah.
Maybe this is something that will come at some point, but right now I cannot pretend that it's there. That would kill me.
Yeah.
That would be the worst.
I imagine it's really obvious to you that you have no idea about what the future will bring. Is that true? Is it accurate that you've got no idea about the future?
No idea.
Right. And I imagine you also can recognize that things always change. Everything is always in constant evolution. Yeah.
I actually felt it change. It is not as horrible anymore as it used to be like a month ago. So again, because like I think the thought mechanism is like seen through quicker most of the time, so you don't dive in that deep anymore, and then these painful peaks are not happening that longer and more. So like I see it changing. So in a sense, yeah.
Yep. So that gives you
Years just waiting.
Yeah. And I love the attitude, although it seems helpless and it seems, I don't know how you would describe it, but I love the attitude that you say, it is what it is. I can't do anything about it, and it's just like this. That ought to give us some escape from this if it's unpleasant. But it's not for you. For some reason, it's not. There's some anchor there. There's some connection that's stopping you from letting go of whatever it is that's keeping you grey. And as you say, well, what Elad said was I thought was interesting. And one of the things that he said was that there's juice, there's energy where the fire is, where the pain is, and the flatness, the greyness, that's a bit dead. That's lifeless, right? And although it's almost like you're saying you choose the greyness over the pain. But that's not really a choice you make, is it? It's just an idea that that's more bearable than the pain.
I think the way I said it is just like because it's not even like the painful situation. Like I think I'm not avoiding. Actually, I went to the most painful place I can imagine now. Actually, I went literally into the lion's den right now because stuck at home for 2 months with my parents.
Yep.
So in a sense, I'm doing that. And actually, that has also been a little bit of my approach to things because nothing was moving so much. So I was actually looking for the triggers because I feel there is difficult. But what I meant before is, thoughts, there's the pain. And in the sensations, there's just grayness. And like it's not that yeah. So and
okay.
I do, and I mean, it's not that I am choosing this, but it is happening more that now it is
I hear you. Yeah.
towards that rather than stuck too long in the story because
Yeah. No, I get it. Okay. Yeah, good. Yeah.
My guess or sense would be that if just sensation feel gray, it's not just sensation. Like it's just sensation plus an overlay of some defense going on, something that's not about that makes it look like just gray. And my guess with kind of going home to your parents, for example, is that something in you might be intuit. I want to get in touch with something, so I go there. And at the same time, it doesn't mean that you get in touch with what you need to get in touch with. Like, right, the fact that we expose ourselves to what's most triggering doesn't say if yeah, doesn't say if the whatever defense, whatever process is going on that's blocking something in the contact, whether that's being seen and let go of. So that comes up to say, and that,
Okay, but
yeah.
then I have a question for you, because like if you, it's very interesting when you say that when sensations are only gray, then there's a layer of resistance or something in between. But I don't know, like, I mean, if an honest sensation of, like, say contraction comes through,
Mhm.
that does not really feel enjoyable. I mean,
Sure,
would that
sure.
be like for you like a pleasant thing? Or I mean, and that's an,
Not
it's not,
necessarily
I'm really not as,
pleasant, but I would say that it would be alive and peaceful. If there's no resistance, it's alive and peaceful. And it also tends to be dynamic. It moves. You know, we become more like my sweet dog that lays over there, and you know, in one moment, wow, he's full of joy, and then he's resting, and now he's scared, and he's full, you know, he's full of life. You know, if we genuinely don't have overlays that are creating resistance, all that life is more available to flow through. It doesn't become
mm,
gray, it doesn't become rigid. If it's gray or rigid, there's some overlay going on that's not being, there's something
mm,
that's hard to see and meet. And just one more thing I want to say, you know, when Vince said, I really want to take it from you, and what can I do to find, I just want to say that that's not my feeling as I'm talking to you right now. It's not like, oh, could we find the key? I actually, in a sense, feel the key is here if we speak about a key. And I just want to be here with you.
mhm.
And yeah,
Yeah, but you're right. I mean, there is, and that's, I see it the same thing. Like there's subtle layers of some kind of overlay, and I think it's more like,
mhm,
let's say, sad moods, melancholic
mhm,
moods, sometimes like
mhm,
a mood of longing for not grayness, which is also an overlay, I'm pretty sure.
mhm,
Yeah, I guess these things are there.
mhm. Yeah. And my sense is that underneath that, there's a lot of life in you that's being held by something that's not fully conscious yet. Right? Something
Uh,
that's not fully conscious is holding back a lot of life. And I'd be curious about that. And I wouldn't expect a quick answer to, like, it's
well,
more about feeling into it. Yeah. Yeah.
yeah, I don't know what to do with those overlays. Feel them
Hmm.
until they felt. That's what
Hmm.
was my approach so far. Not running
Yeah.
away
Yeah.
from it.
Be curious. You want to be really curious. You want to be, yeah. And mm, mm,
See, that's why I meant like I don't want to turn towards like happy, funny things, because that feels so distraction, like so much
sure.
distraction. I literally want to get to the core
Yes,
of
that's
that.
beautiful. That's wonderful. That is wonderful.
But again, and that's what I just said before, I feel I get, there's more frustration coming up, like if I try to inquire and like ask like, what is this feeling? What is this? Blah blah blah. Again,
Mhm.
then words come up and stories come up. So I don't know, the moment when Vince and Marius told me that inquiry can also just be, feeling it,
Mhm.
that's when a lot of things happen for me. So I don't know. It's
Yeah,
why
I
I
think
feel
the
like now is
frustration,
time of feeling a lot of shit.
the frustration you describe coming up right now, to me, it feels like you're moving. Again, I can only speak my felt sense. To me, it's like you're going in the right direction. That frustration is coming up with you starting to get more in touch. Like our piece of art, what's our art here together is to stay close to it with sufficient curiosity, open and attentiveness, so that we continue to help something come through, be birthed, that we don't even know fully what it is, but we can trust it's going to feel alive. It's not going to feel gray. It might have a lot of, it can have all the colors of the rainbow in it. right? It's gonna feel, yeah, alive. Mm.
Yeah. Well, yeah, that would be nice, but
Mhm.
I just must I think make sure that I'm not creating a narrative out of this again. You know,
Yeah,
this
yeah.
thinking
Yeah,
like,
and that
yeah,
really makes sense. That really makes sense, and I think it's a good direction. You know, we want to have primary attention to the felt sense. That's really key, right? The tricky, maybe we could say the tricky part is when we're really open to the felt sense, we we want to also be open to whatever comes up to be seen and be related with through the felt sense. So in one moment, it might be just to be in kind of a pure presence without pure feeling sensation without words. And in the next moment, something normal worldly comes through that wants attention. The way to differentiate is we basically want to orient to whatever it is that feels genuinely alive. Right. So the felt sense stays the key. The felt sense stays the internal compass.
yeah,
Mhm.
yeah. But I have to admit, what feels alive lately is a lot of sadness,
Mm.
sadness.
Yeah. And some when you speak of the frustration, I feel the aliveness also. It's good.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's good. Mm.
Story
Thanks,
came up
guys.
for me here, Lenny, as you were talking, and and I felt a surge of optimism or something about this. It's time to move on from what you're doing, right? So I'm imagining that you've found yourself in a place that where you're still, how can I put it? You're still fighting stories when it's time to stop fighting stories.
Okay.
So the purpose of getting into your sensations, one of the characteristics of that as an exercise was to get you out of your head. And so when you go into your sensation, the idea is that you're not lost in a story, you're in a sensation. But of course, you can easily create a story about your sensation, but I don't know whether that's happening or not. But but so
Okay.
the idea at this stage is, I'm thinking maybe it's time for you to make friends with your stories, right? Rather than see them as things trying to influence you. You see them as something else. So taking on a different relationship to the stories that you've had. You've gone past the point where we need to, the purpose of getting out of your head in the beginning is to stop being a slave, stop being automatically obedient to whatever the stories are about, whatever the mind is telling you. So
Mhm.
once you break that compulsion, that connection to be obedient to whatever the mind is, because we used to believe that my thoughts are special because they're my thoughts and they're always something I need to follow or listen to. Well, once you break that, you don't need to do that exercise anymore. Right? So my experience, and again, this is all I can talk about that has some validity, is my experience. And my experience is that I don't, I can't tell you thought stories that turn up. I mean, I can probably find some, but essentially, I don't pay any attention to them unless they're relevant. And if they're relevant, they're just part of a bigger experience. I don't have only an experience of my thoughts.
So are you mostly out of the thoughts?
Well,
are you mostly...
It's really difficult to say. It's really confusing when I try and define it like that. I would say my thoughts are just an event in my experience, like walking or the breeze touching me when I walk outside. And so they don't have a special place. They're not even individual.
Mm-hmm.
Guys, I'm gonna leave. I just want to say thank you for openness and sharing. Thanks for everybody. And I'm gonna leave my email, Lenny. If you feel like chatting more, you're welcome to send me an email and we can chat. And either way, all
Okay.
good. So thanks to everybody.
Thank you so much. Thank you. Yeah, that's something that I was really wondering, but I never dared to ask anymore, Vince, because, you know, every time I ask these things, like you and Marius just say like, well, then don't compare my experience to your experience, blah blah blah. Which is totally so valid. That's actually a very valid point. So that's why I didn't really ask anymore. But sometimes I really do wonder where this goes to, because like I mean,
Yeah.
there's still
Look,
a lot of
ask
thoughts going.
away. You know, there's no secrets here, and
No,
the comparison is relevant, but it's also a trap, and it's the trap
yeah,
part that we're not wanting you to
I
get
know.
into, and the trap
Yeah,
is, of course, developing expectations.
yeah.
Yeah.
But I
So
wonder how, because like I mean, there is still so much thought activity. I mean, um, because like especially the ones that are not hurtful, the ones that are more descriptive and stuff. They're still there. I mean, I tend to not like, they're not so much like, they don't get like this total attention anymore. They like run a little bit more on the sidetrack, but they're still constantly there. And sometimes, you're more in them and not. I mean, and if you find yourself in them and then you go out, it never has this heart that is real anymore. But still, and I wonder how slow that machinery could get, and if that is kind of, in a relationship to how realized one is.
mm,
Because if yes, then I'm very, very unrealized, I would say. Because I mean, my mind has always been like running a lot.
yeah,
And for me, a lot changed when I said like, I'm not trying to make it stop. I try to make it just, do it like on a sidetrack.
mm,
But accept that it's there.
yeah.
But it does, through that, it has not got that much less, I would say.
Mm. I told somebody earlier today in a session this story, and perhaps it's relevant for me to repeat it again. That is that what happens at LU when people recognise that the idea of a self is just an idea, when they recognise that there's no self, that could be seen as first fetter, or in a Buddhist terms, it could be seen as stream entry. And so when you've got those kind of frameworks to put over it, you can see that you can kind of imagine it as a progression. Right? So you'll have a shift. The first shift will be maybe not. For me, it wasn't, but it is for lots of people, a recognition that there is no self running the show. That's just one shift. And then there'll be more shifts. But we often can't describe what those shifts are about. We sometimes can have a really clear thing to say, oh, I recognise that was a belief I had and now it's different. That's also happened to me. But that's only one of, I don't know, I'll pluck a figure of, say, 7 or 8 shifts that have happened in the last few months. that I couldn't tell you about. I couldn't say what they were, but I recognize that something's happened, something's different, something's gone a little deeper. But what I'm saying is that this is going to go on all the time. It can't not go on. It's going to
That's what I
happen.
wanted to ask.
Yeah,
There's nothing I can do. There's nothing that can be done wrong, right?
that's right. Yeah. Well,
Yep.
let's put it another way. There is nothing that is wrong,
Mhm.
right? So we can say that we can step back and take a snapshot and describe something as having this consequence or that consequence, but it's just a story we make up about it. It might be relevant, it might be exactly right, or it might not be. We don't know. But anyways, but essentially, no, there can be. How can anything be wrong if it exists? It exists. That's it. So we overlay it with ideas of right and wrong, just as we overlay thoughts with power. We overlay whatever.
Yeah.
And one of the things that you
But I
said
guess,
that I get that you recognise, and I felt joyful about that, is that certain activities create a self. There is identification, and it's not the activity that does it. Again, it's the relationship to the activity. It's that feeling of it being personal and so on.
yeah,
And I'm imagining that a whole lot of this stuff for you does feel personal. And in that
yeah,
case, there is the illusion of a self is activated,
yeah,
even if it's not really apparent, just by the mere fact that that it feels personal. That personal
yeah. And
feeling is ownership, is identification. Now, when we talk about it like this, the implication is, oh, we've got to fix this. We've got to get rid of it. We've got to change it. And we would like it to be changed. There's no denying that. But we also know that attacking it directly doesn't work. That just creates resistance. That just gets it stronger. And so what we have to do is be sneaky when we go at these things. And partly what that is, actually, here you go. I'm writing some stories at the moment, which are rather interesting, and I've kind of broken it down to, it's a bit, it's a bit against some of my ideals about the way things work, because it's like I'm producing things for people to do. So I don't want to excite the sense of agency, but there are some instructions there. And one of the things is that we go, first, let's see what's happening. Let's recognize what's happening. And we're going to recognize it from the perspective of, is it actual or is it conceptual? We can say, is it image? Is it something we imagine? Or is it something that is actual? And so when we recognize the difference between those two, we've just established a baseline. And then we need to shift. We need to see it, then we need to shift it. And to do that, what we're doing is we're taking what we've seen at an intellectual level and how can you put it, ingesting it into the body kind of thing, having a visceral thing. And so we're retraining the brain, really. That's what we're doing. We're retraining the brain from believing stuff that happens in stories and recognizing that that's an image and that's real, right?
mhm,
Story about something is a story, is an image, and what's real is the feeling in my feet on the floor, or my bum in the chair, or
and
yeah, that kind of stuff.
but then I have a good question for you. Actually, I think now we're coming really to a core, because if there is now just a, let's say, sensation going through which feels very much like a sadness, and even if you say like, sadness might be the label, but it has a flavor to it that is not joyful, it's not very,
Yeah,
you
yeah.
know.
So
So
sadness is not just a label. In this case, it's a good description.
Yeah. And then I wonder, because also that's something Mario said, like to see that this is not personal. But then again, I mean, then you see an actual body, you have an actual chest, and there's an actual thing here. So to say that this is not personal feels a little bit like a lie.
Mm, mm. Okay, I hear you. I hear you. Yeah. So could you? So what happened here? The thoughts that turned up here when you said that is taking it. There's two possibilities. There can be the, well, there's probably a lot more, but anyway, what the one of them is that we're inside and this is affecting us from the outside. The other one is that we're outside watching it happen. You know,
Okay,
it's that way. Yeah. Which way does this
okay.
feel to you? When you say it's personal, does it feel like you're inside getting bombarded, or
Yeah.
you're outside watching torture happening?
Especially with painful stuff, there's an inside feeling.
Inside,
Especially.
right. Yep.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
And that inside, again, don't take it me. I'm not saying it's wrong or bad or anything like that, but that inside is your center that you're mistaking as a self.
yeah, yeah,
Now it's not wrong. It's just curious, right?
yeah,
That's the way it is.
yeah.
I don't know how the transition happens, but for me, when I have feelings, it's like I can see the chair and I can see the feelings, and they have the same kind of level of objectivity. Right? It's happening here. It's in this body, so it's being
Yeah.
experienced, but it has a sense of objectivity. It's just happening. Right? Now, sometimes I can do something about it, and sometimes I can't. But if I do
Yeah.
something about it, it's not because I do something. It's because that's a possibility that can happen.
Okay.
So what I think would be valuable for you is to look under around the corner, look where can you find a very subtle feeling that says, this is mine, this is about me.
Mhm.
That's going to be the key. That is the connection to, right?
Mhm.
And if that can be seen for what it is, it will dissolve. And well,
Can
and
I
then
say
maybe
one thing,
my
Andy?
desire can come true, and you'll move into a happier place. Sorry, Jed, go.
Sorry, I interrupted you mid-flow there, man. But there was just a thing that I find useful around that
Yeah.
when, a question like, where am I in this? Or where am I owning this? Sometimes I find to say the opposite shows something up. You probably won't. So, for example, I sometimes will say to myself, this is nothing to do with me. That kind of. And then the bit where that isn't true will kind of become more obvious.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Whereas
What part
sometimes
of
if I,
you? Yeah, yeah. That's a good
sometimes
one.
I
Yeah,
say, where is my ownership of this? It's almost like it gets a bit defensive. Like you say, you've got
Yeah,
to.
yeah. Okay. That is actually, I like that. I like that strategy, because then something would flare up. It's like, no, 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 that is about me, right? And that is where then you
yeah,
could look at, right?
yeah,
Okay.
yeah. That's a good one.
I like that one. Yeah. Thank you so much,
Yeah,
Jeff.
Welcome.
And
and
then
and
and
yeah,
then I
go on.
just look at that. And then I just look at this, or what do I do?
Well, you can't do anything. What do you? Well, what? Yeah,
Okay.
you can have intentions or stories, but it'll whatever happens will happen. Eh? Yeah. You'll look at it. Things will happen. Miko asked a good question. How do you become friends with your thoughts? And that's a really relevant one. And I've said a few times that that's a good thing to do. Let's become friends with our thoughts. When we look at it, it's not really about becoming friends with our thoughts. It's about not becoming antagonists with our
Okay.
thoughts. And so I
That
mean,
I think I can do, but becoming friends, not
yeah.
antagonizing them, I think is
Well,
doable.
let's say we don't have to be good friends with our thoughts. We can be. Have we ever had a friend that is so boring that we don't pay much attention to them? they, yeah, that can be the relationship with our thoughts too. We can have a boring friend. Yeah.
But do you have okay? I think that I'll leave you to it because I feel like I'm taking so much space up here. The last question would then be, yeah, how would you start that? Because some of them are really taunting assholes.
Yep.
So would you try to
Well,
forgive them
the
or
first thing that comes up is they're still your friend trying to do the right thing by you. And although what they're about, the content is taunting arsehole stuff, and they've got good intentions for you. They're still trying to look after you. Yeah. So look for behind, look for the possible intention of them rather than what they're about. What they're about
No,
will
that
always
makes
get you
sense.
feeling personal. Yeah. And don't ever
Okay.
worry about taking up too much space. Let people complain if they want to. I've never heard anybody complain, but yeah, that's fine. You take up all the space you need. Yeah.
Okay, I think that was though really good advice. I think in general from all three of you because yeah, I guess it gets now so subtle that it's not really too much the thoughts. It's now more of moods and feelings that are overlays, so they need to be seen.
Yeah. Yeah. So being truthful with yourself about what's happening without judgment is a real trick and a good way to look at it.
Yeah, I'm happy I have good guides. I mean, I hear this stuff a lot and then I feel I can also understand that. So
Good stuff. Yeah. Thank you, Lenny.
thank you, Vince. Thank you so much. And also thank you, Jed. I think that was also a really good one. Thanks so much. Okay, but I'm heading out because I need to buy some groceries. Otherwise, tomorrow I'll be not having any food.
Okay.
Miserable and hungry. Okay. So then, thank you guys so much. Thank you very much.
No worries. Thank you.
Very well received. Okay.
Oh, and just before you go, I saw you tried to log on earlier before I was here. And daylight saving starts on Sunday for us, and then all the meetings will be an hour earlier.
Okay.
Until you go out of the daylight saving into whatever.
Okay.
Then it will change back again. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I also don't really know if they're changing all the time.
Yeah.
So I'm
I
just
don't know what
trying to
dates.
stick with it.
Yeah.
Okay.
Go to the website and look for the countdown timers if you want to know. That's the best way.
I always ask ChatGPT. ChatGPT is now my best friend with that.
Okay.
Okay.
Thanks, Lenny.
Okay, then see you guys. Bye. Thank you again. Bye.
So I'm imagining, Miko, that didn't really answer your question very much about how to become friends with your thoughts. In fact, I probably don't have an answer for that. But we can investigate our relationship to our thoughts. And And we do that by looking at what we're feeling when certain thoughts turn up. And if we recognize that what our thoughts are about is got nothing to do with anything, that's just conditioned stuff that turns up. It's our relationship to them that matters. And so when I say about being friends with my thoughts, it's a kind of a weird friendship relationship, and it's the kind of friends I can say, you waffle too much, leave me alone, don't go on about that, just do it if you like, but do it over there where I don't have to pay attention to you. So in a sense, my thoughts don't fight back anymore, and consequently I call it a friendship. But I wouldn't treat a friend like I treat my thoughts.
It reminds me about the story of a schizophrenic who befriended voices in her head. It was like voices that said, if you leave your house, it will burn and you will burn. And she understood that they cared about her. So she started saying, thank you for your care. But this voice was like an overprotective mother who fears everything. I can't let my child outside because it's dangerous.
Yeah. That's exactly what I was just saying about that. She wasn't listening to what they were saying. She was seeing the motivation. She was seeing what they were wanting. Yeah.
Well, I wanted to report what's happening here.
Mm-hmm.
And I think it's doubting. I was thinking about it, that in Polish we have two words for doubt. And the first one is more intellectual. I'm not sure about it. I don't quite believe it. Something like that. And the other one is more about losing hope.
Ah, yes. That's it. Yeah. And that one definitely has a big feeling component, eh?
Yes, it's more emotional than.
Yeah. So there's probably 1,000 kinds of doubt then if we look at it like that. So the kind of doubts people have about this stuff, I used to think that they had doubts, that people had doubts about whether they saw through the illusion of a self. And then I recognized that that's not what most people were doubting. Most people were doubting whether they were awake or not. And so how do we know that we have doubts? Well, we almost always have thought stories about what's missing, about what's not right, what's not sufficient. but along with that, there's going to be feelings, emotional content to it as well. Now, it may not be as extreme as giving up hope. That's a big one, that one. But it can be a version of that. I am hopeless. I'm not going to make it. I don't deserve it. All sorts of possible things can be around that. But what there's an implication of is that we have two possibilities. There's doubt, and when we're saying that we've got doubt, we're saying we're not. This possibility is not here, and so another one is a lesser one, probably. So when we even look at the word doubt, what does it mean? Are we talking about just being unsure about something? Or are we talking about an actual belief that something is not the way it seems to be, or is meant to be, or we're told it is, or something? What is your version of doubt that you're experiencing?
It is emotional. It is about as I am now, there is no hope for progress.
Right. And progress implies something, doesn't it? And it implies a movement
Change.
to something. Yes, change, yes. Which also implies a dissatisfaction with where you are or where you think you are. Otherwise, why would you want progress?
Yes, I feel stuck, but also with this doubt, it seems to be changing and going towards acceptance. also almost like becoming sure there is no hope. There is no doubt. No doubt there is no hope.
We can laugh at that, but they could both exist together. Yeah. Yeah.
I don't know if it's. I thought about it, but I have so much. I don't like the notion of perfection, of striving for perfection. It's just
Yeah.
like
Oh, me
I'm
too.
allergic to it.
Well, it's a ridiculous fantasy. Is it possible? Is there such a thing as perfection? Is it possible? It's not, is it?
But
Well, maybe it is, but I don't believe it
even
is. Yeah.
you know, even if you take it as a far removed ideal, and our purpose is just to move towards it, it's just a direction, I still don't like it. It's like, I don't
Yeah,
know.
yeah, I get it. I get it. Who decided? Who described it as perfection? Where did that come from?
It's maybe just, but I like humans because they are imperfect.
Hmm.
I like myself because I am imperfect.
That's perfect.
And it's
I love
almost
it.
like in my life, I'm trying to stick to this middle way
Mm,
between
mm.
between something better
Yeah,
and something
yeah.
worse. Which comes up sometimes like I'm sabotaging myself, but it's not really sabotaging. It's keeping in the middle.
Mm. Well, it's great that you've got the personality that seems natural for you. Here, I probably, by nature, go more extremes. So the middle ground, the middle ground sounds pretty good to me. Yeah.
Maybe I'm just too comfortable in my life as it is now for the change to happen.
Well, you say the change, but I'm sure I imagine that you recognise that things are changing all the time. You can't not change. But you're talking about a change in a particular direction, aren't you? Or a particular kind of
Yeah,
change.
yeah.
Yeah.
The
Mm.
change.
That change, yeah. So maybe you can question whether or not what you're calling doubt is really just impatience. Maybe. I have no idea.
Mm. Mm.
I think you've changed since I first met you. You're a different person now than you used to be.
Mm. Yeah,
And
I
and
can see it too. It's just, it's
yeah, yeah,
but
yeah,
it's not it, not it, not it.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
It's just like it's just a metaphor. Metaphor.
Yeah.
It's like trying to lose weight, and maybe I'm making a lot of changes. A lot of changes happen about my appearance, let's say. I'm dressing better, I have a makeup, but my weight stays the same. It's just not it, not it.
Yeah, yeah, I get that.
These changes are great, but it's
But
not
yeah,
it.
yeah. And it's good value to not draw conclusions about what it is, because maybe what you'll discover is an it, or maybe what you'll discover is that this is it, and you just thought that it was going to be something else.
Mm.
Don't wrestle too much with that one. when
No,
you do this, yeah,
I
go on.
just think, yeah, I believe this feeling, not it, not it. It's, it's like going to therapy, and therapy, well, it does work. It brings changes, but as you say yourself, therapy is not it. Not this spiritual.
Mm.
So I tend to believe this feeling, not it.
Mm.
Like this is what, it's not about making my life better.
Mm.
Not it.
And it's perfectly appropriate for you to believe you're feeling. Even though I say to lots of people, lots of the time, that they have got it, they just don't know they've got it. That's a tricky one, because what I really mean is that they haven't got it because they think they haven't got it, even though they've got all of the necessary tools, or whatever you want to call them. So it's a bit of a tricky one to use words on. So you'll know it when you've got it, and when you know it, you'll have it. But you can have it without knowing it, and then you haven't got it. So it's not. It's and sometimes you might say that simply knowing that you've got it is enough to get it. But which is the horse and which is the cart? You can't can't kind of put one in front of the other and say that's going to lead to that. We're back to illusions again. So yeah, so don't worry about it. I mean, I'm not imagining that you are worrying about it. I think you probably don't. But yeah, you'll know it when you got it. And I'll just say this line again, just because it seems relevant to me. Doubts don't ever get cured. Right? Doubts are caused by the mind, and they can't be fixed by the mind. What happens with doubts is that they get boring and we stop paying any attention to them. That's how doubts go. Not because we fix anything, not because we cure them, not because we can reason them away. They just become totally boring and we ignore them. And that's not something you can do. That just happens or not.
Hey Vince, how are you this morning? Well,
Good, Ryan.
it's
Yeah,
morning here.
yeah. Yeah, it's night time here.
Yeah, I'm driving somewhere this morning, but since it's quiet, I figured I'd speak up.
Yeah, good one. Yeah.
Well, I guess because your meeting a couple of days ago on I guess it would have been your Friday morning, but um, I guess we reconnected on LU with our thread, and I was going to complete the checkpoint questions,
All right. Yeah.
which was I don't know, it's really funny that whole process because I don't know, doubt has been coming up a lot in conversation. You were just talking about it a minute ago, and and I feel like that's what it was for me, and still is sometimes. Just this, I don't know. I think maybe even before I started LU, that I could have been awake, that I could have seen through self, but I just
Mm-hmm.
wasn't ready to acknowledge that, or just I don't know, so
Yep.
much doubt that
Yep.
I'm paying attention to that I don't know, just fighting with myself, wrestling with myself.
Yeah,
So
that's a common one. I can imagine that most people that come to LU have already had some kind of a shift, even if they're little ones, but they've got something going that says this is a path, this is a way to look. Yeah.
yeah,
And that's probably a
which is
move from individual into community as well. Sorry, you were going to
uh,
say something?
um, no, actually that's interesting. Are you saying that like basically maybe before that point it was a journey done alone, and then coming into LU brings other people into the process?
Yeah. Yep.
Huh. That
Yeah,
actually makes a
even
lot
if
of
you
sense
don't
for
know
me.
them. Yeah. Sorry?
That actually makes a lot of sense for me, and how it worked out for me. Yeah, it was around that time. It was about I guess the beginning of this year. I did my first ever meditation retreat, a 7-day with Dan Schmidt, and then I realized doing the self inquiry diet there. I realized, wow, like having other people help in this process, and you're helping each other too. Like, so
Absolutely.
often it
Yeah.
feels like if you need help, you have to buy it. You have
Mm,
to pay
mm.
for it. But with this, it's you help each other, and it's amazing that people are interested in that. So yeah,
Yep.
actually, that's a big difference for just this year. There's been so much community, when before it was just me kind of, I don't know, trying to figure it out on my own.
Yep. Yeah, I think that's a big part of it.
I don't really have anything else on my mind. Just wanted to mention that while there was space for it. And thank you for these
Yeah.
groups,
Yeah.
Vince.
No, you're welcome. Yeah. Oh, I'm glad you did, as I was thinking about winding up if there was nobody else interested in saying anything. Mm. No, see,
Feel free
it's,
to. I'm
yeah,
sorry.
go.
Feel free. Yeah, go. Feel free to wind up if
Oh,
you're
yeah,
ready. I'm
yeah,
gonna
yeah,
be.
that'll happen when it happens, yeah.
Yeah, I'll be off in about 10 minutes. Either way.
Mm. Yeah, recently, last week actually, I went through a few days of, well, I was doing it with somebody else, and it was the idea of making an app that people could just buy on the App Store and use on their phone that would help them with this stuff. And I was thinking of the ins and outs and getting involved in how it might work and so on. And then came to the realization that two things, that the app would need to be aimed at or focused towards a particular kind of community, which would be the seekers, if you like. Because if somebody wasn't, but I guess that would self-select for those who would be interested in it, as long as it was clear what it was about. But even so, it would be a wrong thing for somebody with a psychological illness, for example, to get involved in. They could end up in all sorts of strife as a result of what we do here. So, it would need to be confined to the seeking community, just from a legal health standpoint. And then the second thing that occurred to me was, I don't know, I have no idea how much the feeling of being around other people with the same interest, like as in LU, because people don't meet face to face, but they have a guide and they know other people are there searching. So there is that sense of community, and that's these groups came out of what happens to people after they've made stream entry or broken the first fetter. They get abandoned so they can go back to sleep again. And so, in a sense, these groups were to keep something going. And then I realised that the stuff that happens in the groups that I'm working with people, that community, that sharing, that trust, that ability to be authentic plays a huge part in opening up and changes that might take place. And there's probably no way in the world that could be put into an app. So I abandoned the idea of that one.
Yeah, man, I feel like your app is the Vince bot on ChatGPT. Like,
Oh yeah. Well, there's that. Yeah.
which
But
I
again,
find so helpful. I use it every day.
oh great. Okay. Yeah, it's useful for people who are on the path. Probably not going to be useful for somebody who doesn't know how to ask the right questions, or yeah. Yeah, no, it's good to hear that. And I did, part of me did ponder how to integrate that into an app. And although I can access ChatGPT from an app, I can't bring the results back into the app, which just me being a shitty coder, I didn't know how to do that. I can certainly open up a browser window from an app that has the right address in it. But anyway, yeah.
Yeah, and there may be privacy concerns or something in the terms and conditions where ChatGPT wouldn't even allow you to do that.
Yeah,
I wouldn't be
that could be the
surprised.
case. Yeah. Yeah. But I also feel that there's the stories that I'm doing. They kind of wandered off a little bit too. I've the one I did today. I kind of brought about a change in the tone of it as well, to make it more relevant to more people, I think. But I'm a bit excited about how that can introduce possibilities to people without it being seen as instruction, so to speak.
Yeah.
I'm getting good feedback from people about the stories.
Okay. Yeah, I hadn't read your stories in the last week or so. Some of the I think maybe the week before, even posting some longer ones, and they were a little bit too long for me, so I skipped those ones.
Oh, okay.
This
Well,
week
that's
I've
good
been
feedback.
busy.
Yeah. I didn't, because I was feeling like they were a bit too short and to get some points across. So when they get a bit longer, the opposite occurs. They get too long to read. Right. Okay. Good one. Yeah. I'll
Yeah.
keep them a bit shorter then. Yeah.
Yeah,
There's
I
probably,
really do. I really do like them. Just the short stories. It's just kind of like a touch point to at some
yep.
point during the
Yep.
day. Open my email and it's something that is grounding and recentering, reconnecting,
Right.
and
Okay. Yeah. I'll shorten them up again instead of going the other way. Yeah, that's good thought. Yeah.
Something else came to my mind about my sabotaging myself. Maybe it's more on psychological side. Sorry for that.
There's no worries. I don't draw a distinction.
Well, I had a friend who um who was overeating because it was her way of giving love to herself,
Mm.
because her mother used to feed her, and this was the way of showing love, and just, yeah, the mechanism is.
Yeah, I get that. Yeah.
And I thought about it that maybe I'm sabotaging myself because I feel loved when I'm forgiven. No, it's like I'm not making any progress, but you still forgive me, and I feel loved.
Okay.
Maybe stop being so forgiving. It would be helpful.
Oh, or maybe you can find a different way to express forgiveness.
No, it was a joke. I don't know what to do with it, but
Yeah. No, me too. Look, I get that. I have no idea. I weighed myself about 3 days ago and I was up to 83 kilos and I thought, Jesus, that, I mean, I kind of had this psychological reluctant okayness about 80 kilos. But when I saw that I was 83 kilos, I thought, oh, that's too much, And yet I've got this thing in my mind that if I was 75 kilos, I'd be way better off, just 5 kilos lighter and I wouldn't have this big gut, that controls me. And I've tried limiting my food, not eating things and so on. And maybe I've got to do it better. Maybe what? And then I go, I couldn't care less. It doesn't matter. If I've got too much fat around my heart, what does it matter? I'm going to die. So I give up. I hated my belly for ages, and then I thought, oh, maybe I need to love my belly for it to go away. And I actually did find that for quite a while there, I felt, yeah, it was interesting, but there was acceptance about it, if not love. And then, more recently, it's like I give up. I don't care. I'll lose it or won't lose it. Some magic happens, and it's not about calories in and calories out like they've always told us. There's something going on that's I can eat what I like now and stay around 80 kilos. why can't I eat what I like and stay around 75 kilos? It just doesn't happen. It's a crazy one. Black magic. This losing weight business is black magic. I have no idea how it works. Logically, I mean, I can go on. I used to do frequently 3-day fasts. Once a month, I'd do a 3-day fast. And I could get my weight down to 75 kilos, but without eating much extra, without gorging myself, within 2 days, I'd be back up to 80 kilos or 78 kilos. So it's like, didn't work. Eating nothing at all for 3 days is such a temporary effect. There are other values to that, but I haven't done that for quite a while now. Maybe I should. But anyway. Yeah, so my attitude with weight at the moment is I'm not going to, I'm not getting involved. It's just there. I don't feel like I eat too much. But on the other hand, my wife will describe me as a binge eater. Maybe both are true. Not all the time. None of them's all the time.
Mm. But for me, losing weight happens only when I really can't stand how uncomfortable I am.
Does that happen when you get up to a certain weight, or how does that present itself? Does your weight stay much the same, or does it go up and down?
It happened last time when I was the same weight I am now. And then I discovered that for me, the only diet that works is low carb. I mean, no sugar, no flour. And I can eat anything else.
And that works for you? Yeah.
And I've lost then 15 kilos in a year.
Right. Well, that's significant. That's a lot.
Yeah.
15. Yeah.
But then
And did you
it's not,
maintain it, or did you put it back on?
and I put it back on, and I'm back to the same way.
Yeah. Yeah. It seems like the body wants to be that way, doesn't it?
Uh,
Yeah. To me, it's proof that there's no God. Otherwise, chocolate ice cream wouldn't be bad for me, or bread. I love bread. But I don't overeat it. I mean, I say I don't overeat it, but I've had 3 slices of bread today. Mm. Ah, yeah.
I'm on the verge of morbid obesity. Maybe if I if I reach this this point, the way it says morbid obesity, when
Yeah, yeah,
I will go back.
yeah. I get that. I get that. I was even thinking the other day, if I reach when I saw that I was 83 kilos, I thought I wonder how much weight I have to put on before I would qualify for using Ozempic, or before my type 2 diabetes gets bad enough to warrant that. And then maybe that would fix it. So I have to get worse so that I can get better. It sounded like good logic to me at the time.
No, there is absolutely no fixed condition. It's like, you know, with alcoholics, for one person, just I bought a beer for myself and not a lollipop for my kid is reaching the bottom. And for others, they can sell everything the family possesses, and
Mm.
it's not the bottom yet.
Mm.
I don't know what is the bottom with this, you know, its progress of doing the fetters, and
Mm.
where is the bottom that I have to hit? This
Yes.
is like seeing the suffering it causes, but it's not like seeing it with my head intellectually, but it's like coming from the gut.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, those ones are much more likely to trigger a change than ones coming from the head. But they don't have to, of course. Mm. Yeah, that's a powerful word, morbid, isn't it?
uh, I only can say, I am about your weight, and I am probably much shorter than you.
Mm. Yeah, that's a trick. And I've come across the occasional person that at first appearance you would say they're overweight, but in spite of that, they're extremely fit. And then it becomes really tricky to think about in terms of is it healthy? Is the extra weight, even if with that fitness level, is that extra weight healthy, or is it detracting from the health? Well, presumably, if the fitter they are, the less effect the weight's going to have, but it's probably still going to have some effect. Yeah.
For me, it definitely does.
Mm. Well, obviously for me too. I take blood pressure tablets, so and I take cholesterol tablets, and I take metformin for type 2 diabetes, and all of those things have got to do with my weight. So it's it's not independent of everything.
Type 2 is this is with diabetes when you can die in your sleep.
Well, type 2 is generally not seen as extreme as type 1. Type 1 is often from birth, and it's genetic or whatever, whereas type 2 is it's brought about by excess weight. So it's the same thing in a way, but I don't need to take insulin. But it's still that, like if I have a sugar spike, my body doesn't recover as quickly as a healthy person that hasn't got the extra. So it's not so extreme, and it can be controlled with tablets like that. But of course, if it was uncontrolled and if it was out of control, then all sorts of other illnesses can come as a result of it. People with diabetes end up getting toes amputated and things like that because they don't get enough blood flow into their feet, and all sorts of problems. Yeah.
My grandmother had diabetes. She was taking insulin. And she died at 89.
Well, she did well for somebody with that.
Yeah, and I think it was a blessing then that she had diabetes, because what happened was she broke her hip, and in the hospital they discovered she had cancer in her bladder and lungs. And then she was getting weaker and weaker and not eating so much, and she died because of low sugar, in effect. But I think it was a blessing, because she just went to sleep.
Yep. Yeah, good one.
It could be so much worse with cancer.
Oh, yeah. I mean, dying from cancer is not a pleasant thing.
Yeah. So I almost wish I will inherit this diabetes.
Well, it could be genetic, yeah. But for somebody with type 1 diabetes, taking insulin to get to 89 is not bad.
Well, my grandfather was I think he reached 99.
Oh, wow. Yeah. Well, you've got good genes then.
But you know, the last 10 years, he was too weak uh, to stand. He was just lying in the bed. I don't know if it's so. It's not so enticing to live too long.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, well, I guess we all hope that when the time comes that we're going to die, that we die quickly and without prolonged agony or whatever, you know. And the irony is that it's the medical system is what can help us live so long, but at the same time that can also prolong the last bit that can be pretty unpleasant. Yeah.
Oh God! Now
And
I thought that with all that I've just said, maybe it's just some hidden agenda in my brain. We have to keep our weight up so we get diabetes and we can die in a peaceful way.
yeah, that we can laugh at that, but it can be quite true, I think, you know, that kind of thing anyway. And maybe not quite as simple as that. Yeah. Yeah, it's like some part of us says there's a good reason to keep the weight up. Mm. All right. Well, I'm going to go to bed. Thank you. Mm. Good night.
I